I'm a 911 EMD, emergency medical dispatcher. We handle fire and medical calls in a dispatch center.
Okay. We have a Sunday not emergency CPR in the street. Go ahead, sir.
I know from CPR.
I knew it was something bad because I can hear a lady in the background just screaming.
Lou and I were on vacation in Newport Beach. We decided to go for a nice power walk down to the beach. It was about a 4-mile walk. It was just a surprise to both of us when he, stopped and dropped, actually hitting his head. So I gave him 2 breaths, and then I started calling for help.
I was on the couch watching a movie, and then I heard a woman cry. Scream for help, actually, is what I heard. Then I heard somebody call 911, and I just jumped off the couch. And I live upstairs in a condo, so I just went out to the balcony and I just looked over real quick. I could see that she was down on the ground, and her husband was laying down there. And I grabbed the portable phone and I called 911.
He's having trouble breathing. There's a man laying on the street on his back. His wife is trying to give him CPR.
Usually when it's just a normal call, we can go through the questions before we send out the call. But once it's, no, they're not conscious, no, they're not breathing, it's out. The call goes out, cardiac arrest, immediately.
I didn't think they gave us an address. They actually gave us cross streets, and it said a man down on the sidewalk. And then upgraded to a full arrest, that someone just died basically in the middle of the street. You don't see that every day.
He's having trouble breathing, but he is breathing a little. He's not breathing now. He stopped breathing.
Okay, help is on the way. Are you with the patient right now?
Yeah, right now.
How old is the patient?
How old is he, 50 or so? 57.
People will sometimes have a different idea of what breathing and not breathing means. So usually even though he said he's not breathing, we still need to ask again, just to verify, is he conscious, is he breathing?
Is he conscious?
He's not conscious right now.
Is he breathing?
No, he's not breathing.
She just was very deliberate with the questions she was asking me about his age, about exactly what happened, what they've been doing, things of that sort.
Okay, help is on the way. Did you see what happened?
I don't know what happened. He just fell over? He what? He fainted. He just fainted on a walk. He hit his head probably on the pavement. He's laying on his back.
Okay, I'm going to stay on the line with you until they find you, okay?
Okay.
He was the best ever. He was just clear, calm. We need you to stay calm, Most of the time, if you're not calm, you're screaming, it's not going to help the patient at all. And I can't help the patient if you don't help me. So it's teamwork. I stay calm, you stay calm, we help the patient.
Okay, and who is giving CPR?
His wife is giving him CPR, and she's doing it right now.
I was screaming for someone to help me with CPR. Does anybody know CPR? And then Jeff Dunleavy appeared from several buildings down.
I thought, well, I can help out here. So I said, I'll try and get a pulse. And when I touched Lou's arm, it was a dead body. He was stone cold.
When Jeff came in, he started using the compressions with more force to get some oxygen into his lungs. It wasn't just going to be little taps.
It seemed to really start working when he started pushing the compressions.
There's a man giving him CPR now. He's giving a little bit more compression. But you're definitely doing the CPR correctly now.
He's breathing. Come on, baby.
He's breathing a bit.
Let's go. No, he's not.
Okay, come on.
He's not breathing?
He didn't look good at all. He looked like he didn't have a pulse.
Let me feel his pulse. I'm feeling his pulse.
Laura was just yelling at Lou, "Don't die, don't die." And I thought it was too late. I thought it was too late.
Lou went through a couple of changes that I didn't think he was breathing at all, and I felt his spirit leaving his body at that time, and turning very gray, and I thought we were going to lose him.
He's breathing a bit.
Let's go. No, he's not.
Okay, come on.
He's not breathing?
We thought he might have exhaled, but it was really just the air that Laura was breathing into him coming back out. He never took a breath. And I knew that he wasn't breathing. He wasn't responding.
I knew that Lou was dying. I did not want to lose a precious second with him or to keep him talking to me and to tell him, you know, to stay with me and to just to hang in there, that the paramedics were coming. I said, just hang in there, and I told him not to forget his children, his grandchildren, that, you know, just stay there with me.
You're doing 2 to 1 on the breath?
And let them know it's 400 compressions.
400 compressions?
Yes.
What does that mean? So altogether?
I told him 400 compressions, 2 breaths after the compressions, and we just want to make sure that they're hard compressions. We don't want, you know, just kind of softly. That won't get enough air in them. So we need to make sure, you know, that they're hard and fast.
3.5 minutes altogether, hard, rapidly.
Rapidly.
400 times.
400 compressions in total, rapidly. I don't know how many you've given so far.
It's about twice per second.
About twice per second.
Peter, you know, was on the phone with 911 and relay information back and forth. And that was a real lifeline for us, because I hadn't had CPR for 20 years, and I don't know how recently she'd had it, but what we started doing wasn't what we wound up doing ultimately because of the information from the 911 call.
After the 400, 2 deep breaths by pinching his nose and his head tilted back.
After 400, 2 deep breaths with his head tilted back. Good job. Well, you might want to keep more compression. So yeah, just go for another minute. Just 1 more minute. Because you're the first person that got him to breathe like that.
Remind him rapidly.
I guess I just recall the whole situation just being a little bit surreal. I just felt like I connected with Laura. She could have been anybody's wife or mother. So it was just like, hey, I'm gonna handle this situation like it's my family.
It's okay. They're on their way. Help is on the way. Everything's okay. He's starting to breathe. You got him back. He's starting to breathe.
Okay, good. Tell him to keep on going.
Keep going. Keep going with the compressions. He's doing good. The man just got him to breathe again. Definitely, he's doing better.
Okay, good.
I heard him cough.
And then we could hear the sirens, you know, as they began to approach.
I could hear the ambulance and the fire trucks, and I just had such a sense of relief that it was going to be okay from there.
Here they come.
Okay, let me know when
Ambulance, the fire department's here.
let me know when they're right next to him, okay?
They're right next to him now.
We can't hang up until the medics are right next to the patient. Sometimes they'll say, oh, they're here, but they're a block away and they see the truck. So we need to make sure that they're right next to the patient.
They're off of the truck?
They're not off the truck yet. We're going to get off the truck right now.
Are they still
Here they
breathing
come.
for him?
We don't want to stop breathing for him until they take over.
The fireman's off the truck and the paramedic's here too, but he's not out of the car yet.
Okay, are they still doing compression?
Yeah, they're still doing compressions. Keep doing compressions.
I saw a group of people standing around, someone doing CPR, and a gentleman laying on the ground. You know, it's just been around for a long time. Been doing this for over 24 years, and it's not always the best outcome when you see that.
When we got on scene, CPR, the compressions that the man was doing were well, so we just let him continue for a moment, just so we can settle. We have a lot of stuff to get set up. Basically, the first 2 minutes, you're doing compressions and just trying to get yourself organized. What's going to happen next? During those 2 minutes, we can be starting the IV and, you know, getting ready to intubate.
They shocked him off the ground. You know, they literally bounced him off the ground.
It's interesting. Everyone thinks that when you shock somebody, you know, it starts the heart up and gets it going, but really what you're doing is you're stopping the heart because it's fibrillating. It's uncontrolled shaking of the heart. So you shock it and it stops it. And then between oxygen therapy, drug therapy, and chest compressions, and circulating all those drugs and oxygen and blood, you hopefully restart the heart with those things. And eventually he did respond to that. And that was a great sign. You just feel good when that happens.
They finally got his heart going.
I have no recollection of the actual incident of passing out, having a heart attack, literally dying for 5 minutes. I have no recollection of that.
They put him in the ambulance. We rode to the hospital. The doctor met me outside of the ER department, and they took over from there. And I just remember Lou being in a room with many people working on him. He was induced into a coma. They froze his body down to 91 degrees so that his brain would have time to regenerate new brain cells because they felt like there were signs of brain damage. They did quadruple bypass a week later.
I remember waking up and being surrounded by my family and saying, what's going on? What's everybody here for?
He has no brain damage, no heart damage, no pacemaker, and is completely recovered.
I'm just so thankful that the professional people they have here in Newport, especially Kat, on the other end of that call and the way it's just handled. I just thank God every day that I was here and not someplace else.
I love helping people, and it's what I love to do. And I can, as hard as it is, I love my job. I like doing it.
Other than, you know, the birth of my child, you know, certainly it's got to be one of the most life-changing events that I could be involved in.
They really saved Lou's life.
When we all get caught up with things we think are important, like careers and making money, that's not really important. They're just background noise to the real issues in life, which are relationships, because you just don't know how much time you have.